Today's session is going to be interesting because we're going to look into the perspectives of purpose and potential and how you can realize yourself. So we're going to start by looking into what is purpose, how do we actualize purpose? How do we reinvent ourselves? What is the importance of purpose nowadays? What is the meaning of life? And this topic of purpose is something that is super important nowadays. In last 3 years specifically, when we look into the human development and human evolution, there is a big crisis that we're going through when it comes to the purpose and meaning. And a lot of people are looking to reinvent themselves, to really touch that uniqueness of their soul essence, to really understand why are they here on this planet, what are they here to do, and what is their true calling. And when I coach people globally in different organizations, we always have this lovely conversation, and everybody's reporting back that this is the time right now for people to reinvent, to get back into their meaning, and to get connected to their purpose. As the purpose is one of the key motivators of one's life. When we get in relationship with our purpose, then we feel that inner drive that is beyond external motivation, that is instinctive, and it really gives us the most amazing guidance and navigation through our life. So we're going to look into this lens from many, many perspectives. So I'm just going to start sharing my screen. Becoming a leader is the same as becoming fully integrated human beings. So if you're leading teams, if you're leading business, if you're leading projects, if you're leading your life, leadership, it's a big topic. It doesn't need to be only leading people. When you fully step into your leadership in the path towards the effective and efficient leadership, it's becoming fully integrated human being. Integration of human beingness requires us to get in relationship with our meaning of our life and the purpose of our life. That integration of us also requires us to open up our connectivity and for us to be able to connect to the four basic intelligences that we have in our life, which is our cognitive intelligence, our IQ, our emotional intelligence, our EQ, our spiritual intelligence, our CQ, and our physical intelligence, our PQ. So when we are in relationship with those four intelligences of our life, and also when we are in relationship with ourselves on a deeper level, then we become fully integrated. And then we can lead our life, we can lead our team, we can lead our business from the space of holistic approach. So, do I have a purpose? This is a very big question that everybody's asking. And why do I lose purpose? A lot of people are confused because we are not taught in a traditional educational system that purpose is the most essential part of navigation of our life. That everything that we do and everything who we are comes from that purpose. And a lot of people are doubting, do I even have purpose? How can I find my purpose? If I had my purpose, did I lose it? How do I know the purpose really exists? And also all the wonderful questions that we always ask ourselves. So just to kind of feel your pulse and to feel your energy in the group, if you don't mind, please, can you just answer this first question? Do I have purpose? Yes or no? Do you know what is your purpose in life? Just for me to understand where you're coming from. We know that purpose is driving our passion, our vision, our potential, our realization in our life, and the purpose is driving our deep meaning. And we also know that sometimes we can lose our purpose. And for people who are already on purpose for some times, what I would love to mention as well is that when we lose the purpose, we have to reinvent ourselves. Sometimes in life, we need to go to the cycles of life. And in those cycles of life, we will complete certain part of the purpose, which is linked to our true soul calling. And then we need to open up to reinvent ourselves. So if we have somebody on the call who is feeling that was my purpose, but it's now not any longer, and I'm stepping into the new phase of my life, and I need to now reinvent myself, that will feel like you're losing your purpose. But I would love you to remember that now is the time for you to reinvent your purpose. The most important thing about purpose and belief in one's purpose, it's understanding the belief systems and how the human operating system really works. And I want to really explore this with you, not only in the context of purpose, but also in the context of you understanding your inner wiring. So if you think about your body, and I mentioned that our body has 4 intelligences: our cognitive intelligence, our emotional intelligence, our spiritual intelligence, our physical intelligence. Then we also have quantum intelligence, which is our interconnectivity with the whole universe around us. This is the next level as well. And this is our inner wiring. This is our software. Our hardware, it's our body and how we look. And if you take the analogy of the mobile phone, for example, how we present ourselves in life, it's the apps, it's the interface, and then the inner making of ourselves is the software within. So within our software, what we have, it's core beliefs. Those beliefs are created by the age of 3, sometimes age of 4. When we are born in this life, usually we're 100% open. We don't have any residual program. We are completely willing to absorb everything from our reality. We learn from our parents, we learn from our grandparents, from our brothers and sisters, from the society, from our school, from our kindergarten, from our university, from our work, and so on and so forth. And through this process of being open, especially very early on, we create what we call foundational belief systems. And those foundational belief systems, they're the beliefs that are governing our life. So those beliefs can be adapted from your parents. So usually when parents say, for example, be careful when you're crossing the street, be mindful, stop. That's one of the beliefs, that I always need to be careful when I'm crossing the street. I always need to be mindful. Be careful, don't touch the hot, you're going to burn. I always need to be mindful not to touch the hot item because I'm going to be burned. So those are the kind of very basic belief systems. But, the belief systems can be, wealth is difficult to acquire. You have to work hard to be able to be successful. Real meaning of life doesn't exist. All the relationships can be failures, which are the example of negative beliefs. Or we can program ourselves with the positive beliefs. If I work hard, I'm going to be successful. If I work smart, I'm going to be even more successful. Creativity, it's the most important thing in life. Or all people are kind, compassionate, and loving. So we get exposed with both beliefs. We get exposed to negative beliefs and positive beliefs. And we actually wire ourselves subconsciously with the beliefs that we have received from our environment. And that creates the foundational belief systems. Throughout our life, especially when we become teenagers, we have this rebellious phase when we want to rebel against the beliefs that have been given to us. We want to shake them up. We want to let go of them because we know that some beliefs are not ours. Some beliefs are simply given to us by, as I said, our society, our parents, our grandparents, our school, our environment, and so on and so forth. Why is it so important to understand that the beliefs are governing your life? It's because beliefs are creative. What you believe creates thoughts. Your thoughts create your feelings and thoughts create your actions, and your actions create results. So whatever you want to do in life, if you want to consciously create anything, first you need to be very awakened to what do you really believe about this? How is this belief creating your thinking? How is those thinking creating your feeling? How do you feel as a result of your thoughts? And then what are you inspired to act on? And then how is that action creating results? So sometimes in order for us to be able to change our reality or our outcome in a situation, we need to start from the foundation, which is changing your beliefs. One of the things that was not really well done in our society, especially through our educational system, is because we trash purpose. We think purpose is not important. And a lot of the time when you ask people about the purpose, they would say purpose is irrelevant. It doesn't exist. What is the purpose? This is such an airy-fairy topic. It's not important. So there is a foundational belief that creates the thought and feeling that purpose is not relevant, that it creates action, that you don't even get in relationship with your purpose. And then the result is lack of meaning. If by any chance you have a belief that it's not allowing you to believe that you have a purpose, then the work here is to change your belief. So let's say that I have believed that somebody tell me along the line when I was really young and open and, the kid, that purpose doesn't exist. And I believe that the action here for you, if you're listening to this recording, is what is the most empowering belief that I can embody around the purpose right now in order for me to generate the thoughts, create the feelings that will inspire my action into result that I really want to see, which is meaningful, purposeful life. And how can I then share this meaningful, purposeful life with the rest of my community, my organization, my family, and so on and so forth, to live more fulfilled life? So what we're looking into is fulfillment, basically, based on the purpose. All right. What do you believe about yourself and recognition that you need to shift and change in order for circumstance to change? And that's one of these rules of life. And people tell you, you need to change yourself for the situation to change. This is how. This is the mechanics. This is like if you go to mechanic and you're asking a question, how do I do this? First belief, then thought, then feeling, then action, done, right? So going further into the belief. So if you into purpose, if you have any way to, anything that is stifling you, change your belief. Now, the frequency of purpose, it's expressed through joy. When we know that we are on purpose in our life and at our work, the predominant carrier of feeling of that is joy. So for you to reconnect to your purpose or to reactivate your purpose, you need to, first of all, write down everything in your life that brought you authentic joy. And I'm meaning authentic, and I gave you the distinction between happiness versus joy. What is the authentic joy in your life right now? Then reflect, what are the moments of your life that made you most proud? Sometimes we do something in our life. It can be as simple as a wonderful performance in the kindergarten, or a great conversation with a friend, or a beautiful post on the social media that inspired people, or a creative act or random act of kindness. You saw somebody on the street and you did something randomly. You don't know the person, but you've done it. So what are those moments in your life that really made you proud, that you look at yourself and say, well done, you. I mean, this was cool. This was really, really cool. What are those? When you really see yourself in the most beautiful light, why are those things bringing you joy? What is the meaning behind them? What really makes your heart sing in those moments? Because what makes your heart sing, what brings you joy in the moment is the moments when you're touching that purpose, that essence of who you really are. And how can I recreate those in my current life right now? If I'm far away from that joyful state or purposeful state of these moments when you're mostly proud, what can I do differently in order for this to be more present in my life? And what can I create as a circumstance, as an environment around in my work, in my life, to be able for me to be able to express it? Because I've been coaching for 27 years right now. I started coaching when I was really young. I was 27, which was really early on for coach. I've coached people when I was 27 who are in their 50s, 60s. So I have a long coaching career. And I always see that again and again and again with all of my coaching clients. If they're not purpose-driven and if they're not in the space of making their heart sing in their work, eventually they feel dissatisfaction, they feel demotivation, they want to leave, they don't feel seen, and then all the needs kick in and people are not on their purpose. So my invitation to you is like, really take this seriously, because your life is your life, your work is your work, and you need to shine in your work, and you shine when you are on purpose. So explore this reconnection to your past joy and reconnection to the energy of joy right now. What makes your heart sing? What makes you joyful in your work, for example? When do you shine? When do you really feel on top of the world? The other carrier of purpose, it's what we call unconditional love. Unconditional love, it's function of emotional intelligence. So if you are scientific and if you need to understand it more from the very linear point of view, so the spiritual intelligence, which is part of our inner wiring, our wisdom, our intuition, our knowing, our instinct, that's function of our body. In our emotional intelligence, we have empathy, we have compassion, and we have unconditional love. Unconditional love, it's something that you are presencing in the current moment in order for you to be able to embody your purpose in the physical present moment right now. The unconditional love, it's the space that invites you to love yourself unconditionally. And loving yourself unconditionally means that you accept all of your imperfections. Sometimes it's very difficult for us to do this because we're trained to judge ourselves, or to be insecure about ourselves, or to not to accept ourselves fully. I remember I worked on television a long time ago, and I had first recording on TV, and I was presenting at that moment in time. And I was in the editing room after program recording, and everybody was so excited about what I said and how I said it. And I looked at myself, and I could not look at myself on the screen. I was like, oh my God, who is that person there? My voice was weird. I didn't look well. I was saying random things. I was like imperfect on so many different levels. And everybody else was saying, well done, you. And I was like, what's wrong with these people? How can they even think this was good? It was really, really, really bad. And I realized that was an indication for me that I was really far away from acceptance of myself and loving myself with all of my imperfections. I was not perfect. I was imperfect. And I was right, because certain things I didn't say well, certain things will be much better, certain things will be more improved. I had a long journey ahead of me. I knew that, but I did not accept myself fully. So when you step into the space of purpose, in order for you to embody your purpose, you have to invite yourself into the state of unconditional love towards yourself. That means full acceptance of who you are with all of your imperfections, physical imperfections, mental imperfections, cognitive imperfections, social imperfections, whatever you're struggling with, awkwardness, when you feel that you're awkward, or if you're too confident or too secure or too egocentrical, it doesn't really matter what it is. Accept and love yourself fully. When we do that act of emotional intelligence, which is compassion for ourselves, because we know that we're all human beings and we all are growing, developing, learning, then we can really embody that present purpose in our life. And then we can really step into the space what really excites us, what really makes our heart sing, and what can we do all the time that we don't need any external rewards from? That's a good question, a coaching question. What would you do in life all the time, even if you didn't have any external rewards, even if you don't need to produce, create, or pay your bills or get your salary? What would that be in your life? We'll get into that in a second, right? So write down your activities. So think about a few things, and you can reflect this. As I said, write down for yourself. I'm just going to guide you through this reflection exercise right now. Write down most of your life activities. Reflect on your day right now, from the morning to the evening, what you do throughout the day. If you are mother, father, if you don't have family, doesn't matter, whatever your life circumstance is, just write down, a few activities that you do daily. Out of all of these things that you're doing daily and daily and daily in the cycles of days and days and days, what really excites you? What brings that joy? What brings that state of, wow, I love doing that. I can do this again and again and again and again and again. I really, really enjoy that. What really excites you? And you can rate yourself. You can put from 1 till 10, and 10 means maximum sense of soul enjoyment. While you're doing this, I'm just going to keep on talking around purpose. The part of purpose is following your highest excitement however you can in your life. Life is not ideal. We know that we need to create compromises and sacrifices sometimes. We need to adapt. We need to be agile. We need to be able to be present with many different circumstances. So we cannot have a perfect life and perfect life, business life all the time, but we can attempt to curate and co-create the highest excitement however we can do in our life, and to give that attention and not to be attached to the outcome of that. So what is that in your life that really brings you that joy, unconditional life, high frequency, that is touching the elements of your purpose? So write it down and just be mindful of that. We don't need to do anything with it. We just want you to be mindful of what is it. If you find something in your work life that really excites you, that creates that joy, how can you do more of that? How can you create this circumstance in your work with your managers, with your colleagues, with your collaborators, with your employees, with your vendors and clients, that you can do more of that? It really excites you. When you excel, how can you claim that territory even more? Imagine your future self. Imagine yourself that is fully living on purpose. So there is always a version of ourselves that is already in purpose, more integrated within the purpose. If you already are, there is always the degrees, to what extent, to what depth are we living authentically with our purpose. So what I would love to invite you right now is to imagine the future version of yourself that is already fully integrated and lives the purpose right now. How would you feel if you were there? How would you act if you were there? How would you behave? What would you say to yourself? What would you say to others? How would you look? How would you present yourself? What would be your expression? What will be that unique signature that you bring that is only you and nobody else like you? So imagine that just for a second. So the more you're able to imagine, the more you're able to visualize, the more you're able to see yourself in the new version of yourself, in the purpose, step in to embody that, the more fulfilled you will be. Before we get into the purpose model, which is the last part of our presentation, I also want to invite you to kind of look into this graph here, which is wholeheartedness, developed by Brené Brown, which is one of the most beautiful teachers. If you don't know Brené Brown, make sure that you Google, YouTube her, find her books. She's absolutely a remarkable woman and one of the teachers of wholeheartedness. And this model is really linked to the purpose because it kind of tells us what do we need to do to be able to actualize our purpose, right? So the first level of that wholeheartedness model of Brené Brown is that we need to embrace our vulnerability. And I said a second ago, our vulnerability to accept our imperfections, which is exercising unconditional love towards ourselves. Vulnerability in our society is always seen as a sign of weakness. You know, we always feel that if you're vulnerable, something is wrong with us. This is especially related to men, some women as well, but men predominantly feel afraid to be vulnerable because they feel weak and insignificant if they are. When in turn, vulnerability is a super strength and a super skill. The more vulnerable you are, the more authentic you are, the more real you are to emotions, and the more you're able to touch that a level of soul that we call purpose. So that's vulnerability, absolutely necessary for us to play, realize, actualize our purpose. The second level is courage, and this is the courage to be imperfect. Again, with social media right now, we have escalated this to the highest level when we believe that we need to be perfect to be able to be loved, appreciated, liked, and honored, which is complete and total nonsense. You know, we are all imperfect, full stop. So we have to be courageous to accept this about ourselves and to live with that and have fun with it. You know, sometimes imperfections and quirkiness is so much fun. Imagine if we were all perfect, how boring and uncreative the life will be. You know, if we all looked fantastic, had fantastic eyes, great hair, wonderful lips, fantastic nose, buffed hair, you know, come on. We are imperfect for a reason because that gives us edge, of creativity, of uniqueness, of significance, of beauty, which is the inner beauty. So courage to be imperfect. Compassion, be kind to yourself first and then everybody else around you, right? That frequency of unconditional love. You are your number one, number two, and number three. If you're not compassionate to yourself, if you're not loving yourself, if you're not kind to yourself, nobody else will be. We are externalizing this because we want our partners and our loved ones to fulfill that for us. Love me, be kind to me, be compassionate to me. We do need that exchange. But for that to happen, first you have to do it for yourself. So vulnerable, courageous, compassionate, authentic equals open heart. You see the heart in the center, equals emotional intelligence activation, equals joy of purpose. So this is what we call infinity coaching model. Infinity coaching model is the model that coaches people to the level of realization of their purpose and potential. We all have 4 levels of realization in our life and in our business. This is the same for the company or for individual. We have realization at the level of personal potential. We have realization at the level of greater potential. We have realization at the level of profound potential. And we have realization at the level of pure potential. So we all go in our life to those 4 levels. Those levels are not hierarchical. That means that you can choose in this lifetime where do you want to play. You can choose all 4. You can choose 1. You can choose number 3. You can choose number 4. It really doesn't matter. What matters is that you're aware that this exists, and this is the journey of purpose realization. So let's go level by level so you can see where you are at. So the first level, it's level of personal potential. The level of personal potential is when you access your purpose and potential for yourself. And how do you do this? By knowing what are your natural gifts, what do other people tell you you're good at, and what do you dream of accomplishing for yourself. So this first level of realization of your purpose, it's all about you realizing you for yourself. So example, music. So if I am gifted musician, right? My natural gift is to play guitar. I play it really, really well. When I'm with my friends, they tell me, wow, you're so gifted in guitar. You really know how to play well. We love when you play guitar. We love listening to you. And I dream about being a good player. I dream about playing guitar all the time. I love the music. This is something that I want for myself. If I visualize and I dream about my life, I see myself on the stage. I see myself entertaining people. This is what I am burning for. But on the first level, you're just realizing this for you. I might be content just to play guitar as a hobby. I don't need to be a performer. I don't need to have a Spotify hit. I don't need to be in the social media all over the place and lives and reels. I don't need to do that. I just need to do it for me because that makes me happy, right? So that's the first level. And a lot of us know this space really well. The second level is what we call a greater potential. When you realize yourself on a greater, bigger level of yourself, you tap into the space of bigger energy field. How are people inspired by you? How do you impact people around you? And what do you accomplish? What do you dream of accomplishing for your company, for your organization, for your nation, for your community? When we expand our purpose and potential, we start being at service to others. The first level is first service to self. It's about me, my realization, my life. When we move forward, we begin being at service to others. It's about community, nation, about people around you. So the example of musician, I'm playing the music, somebody hears me out, he says, come on, let's play, come to my reel. I go to somebody's reel, I'm on Instagram, people hear my music, they're like, wow, this is so cool. Do you want to perform in this? They have this gig in this club. Do you want to travel? Do you want to come to this festival? Suddenly I am on the stage and I'm sharing my gift with others. So greater potential, it's all about you sharing your purpose with the community, with others. You do it alongside with others. In our soul journey of realization of our purpose, we move even further. This is what we call profound potential. Profound potential is your contribution to the world. So the questions you will ask yourself here, what is your contribution to the world? What are you called to be and do for our planet? And how do you want to see our humanity evolving? Right? So here, we expand our purpose and we gain what we call planetary awareness, planetary consciousness. We begin caring about humanity. We begin caring about society. We begin caring about the environment, about the ecology, about sustainability, about everything else. So our purpose is actualizing on a planetary level, and we all have it. Analogy of musician, I'm playing locally in my band in my country, in UK, I'm having a gig in London, somebody sees me, says, wow, do you want to travel to Japan and have a concert and then go to Australia? Suddenly I'm in Australia and Japan. So I'm sharing my gift with the planet. And this is what we call expansion of the purpose. And we all have this naturally inside of us. Like, think about the plant that is growing, like there is a seed of a potential, then the plant grows a little bit more, it's seedling, and then plant goes a little bit more, and it's planetary potential. Then it goes a little bit more to the next level. So we all grow that purpose and potential from inside out. Then we have the pure potential. The pure potential is where innovation is, when universal consciousness is. The questions here are, what is your contribution to innovation? What are you called to be and do for the innovation? And what are you called to do that is beyond what you ever thought could be possible, right? So if you think about, where do we have good ideas, breakthrough consciousness, breakthrough business models, breakthrough strategies, breakthrough innovation happening, is in the space of actualization of the pure potential, which is pure purpose. Sometimes on that level, we also ask questions, what is your contribution to the universe? What is your contribution to the star and galaxies? What is your contribution to the quantum field that all connects us and binds us together? But we expand our consciousness, we expand our mind to the next level. So the questions, once again, for you to play with, if you are getting into the deeper relationship with your purpose and your potential, or you're exploring, or you're reinventing, start with the gifts, start what other people tell you, ask them, start dreaming about what you want for yourself, what is the success that you want to see in your life, then move into community, company, your colleagues, your contribution, ask other people, how do they feel about you? What is the impact you leave on other people when they see you? How they get inspired by you? Moving into planetary consciousness, this is where everybody is right now. In the last 3 years, we all moved to this level of awareness because we united on a planetary level through the crisis, which was facilitation for all of us to gain planetary consciousness. So what is your contribution to the world? So if you were to meet star being, let's say that you are in the situation, you're driving your car and the spaceship lands, from a galaxy far, far away. It's a beautiful star being. It's not extraterrestrial. It's not alien. It's not scary. It's lovely. It's really joyful, full of love and light. And that person asks you, okay, who are you and what are you doing on this planet? What is your role on this planet? So what is this planet about? How is this humanity evolving? What is your contribution to this evolution? What would you say? If you really want to be funky and creative and great and really activate yourself on a different level, what is your contribution to the universe? What is your contribution to innovation? How can you open up yourself and your purpose to really be somebody who is in relationship with the quantum field, downloading the new quality content for everybody? And then this beautiful coaching question for all of you guys is, what do you feel you could become that is beyond what you think is possible? Then we go beyond imagination into the limitlessness.